Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, good morning. It's a wonderful day. Wednesday, hump day, the second show of the new year. I don't know how you're enjoying 2022, but I am having a ball. I'm meeting new people, new guests. I'm speaking with old friends. One of my favorite guests are here today. I feel like that little kid show. Which one of them is it? Pick one. But you've seen this face before. I'm not even going to tell you. You'll have to wait and see. But like I always say, share the show, because there's someone in your network, there's someone in your house, maybe a coworker, maybe a spouse, I don't know, but someone needs this information. Maybe they're a new entrepreneur, they're a new business owner, they're just starting out in their business. Where else can they learn from the experts? We brought in a bunch of experts today to learn from. So you definitely want to go ahead and share this show. So send that text, send that tweet, send that message, make that post, but definitely want to let them know the Roundtable Talk Show is live. Because as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're sharing the show, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest, Miss Jan Hoth of Jan Hoth Inc. She allows you to build a no regrets and legacy worthy life through joy. Good morning, Jan. How are you?
Good morning. I am fantastic and delighted to be here.
I am delighted to have you. I'm excited. I want to learn more about you. Tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Well, I'm passionate about connecting with inspiring souls like yourself, but I'm also inspired and passionate by serving individuals, especially leaders and entrepreneurs, to really own their potential so that they're bringing that joy and bringing their delight and their magic to the world in a much brighter way. I am a mom of 2 kids and happy wife, and we live in the mountains of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I am snowed in basically today, but I'm so excited to be here virtually. But yeah, I'm all about bringing the vision of a joy-led world, bringing that through one leader at a time.
Wow, very interesting. Now, Jan, we are going to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, the lovely Miss Hillary Walsh.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hillary is the owner of New Frontier Immigration Law, a multi-million-dollar law firm helping undocumented immigrants escape the abuse of their U.S. citizen spouses and children so that they can get status in the U.S. and live a life of freedom. How are you, Hillary?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a mom of 4. I'm a 16-year military spouse. My husband's an F-16 pilot in the Air Force, and so we've been able to live all over the world. And when it was time to come back to the U.S., I had been an immigration lawyer for several years, but from overseas. I decided to open my own business, an immigration law firm, to really be able to serve undocumented immigrants here in Arizona and help people live true freedom, because I think that if I can help others live free, then it really provides me with even more freedom and everybody within my company with more freedom. And what is a better pursuit in life than to have absolute freedom?
Absolutely. Definitely agree. I think we're going to be talking a lot about life and freedom and joy today. I think that's the theme that I see developing today. I am going to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our very next guest, and it is Mr. Adam. Adam is also amazing. We're going to find out about Adam, what he has going on. I'll tell you a little bit about him. Adam is a former attorney. I guess we're going to talk about life and law today. but he's a former attorney of over 23 years who is an author and trainer for small businesses and law firms. He helps people build their network and their influence in their community and in their professions or businesses. Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Glad to be here, Sharifah. Thank you.
Are we going to talk about law today?
I don't know. You got two lawyers. The other guests may not have any time to speak, so who knows? We'll have to see.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Adam.
Well, I did real estate law and litigation law down in Fort Lauderdale for 20 years. I live in Asheville now, and what I wanted to do when I moved, I didn't want to take the bar again because I had satiated practicing the law, but I want to teach small businesses and lawyers how to run businesses. And one of the things that I can chat about today is a new program I've got called Get Connected, and it's how you can grow your influence and your sphere of influence through connecting online. And then once COVID's over, go into networking in person again. And it was such a revelation to me when I was a new attorney, getting out there networking and creating this connection with people. It grew my law firm to 4 offices in Fort Lauderdale. And it's one of the skills that I think we're missing in today's world, and especially being able to connect online now that you really can't connect in person. So love to share that message with people today and get more people connecting on LinkedIn and other areas.
We are definitely going to share your message. But before we share your message, we're going to come back to you and we're going to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Andrea Woods. She's a writer who loves to tell stories and a patient advocate who founded the nonprofit Blue Fairy, the Adrian Wilson Liver Cancer Association. She is the CEO and co-founder of Cancer University, a for-profit social impact health tech startup. Good morning, Andrea. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I love your background. I love how it's just a little fuzzy because I like to look and see, what I can spy with my eye in the background.
I made it fuzzy when I realized, oh my gosh, there's a dress in the background. There's an extra chair. There's boxes. I'm like, I'll make it a little fuzzy.
I got to learn how to do that. Tell us about yourself, Andrea. What you got going on?
Oh, well, you just did an excellent job. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a patient advocate. I'm also a podcaster and a speaker. And I am, since you told me I could do this, I'm the author of the award-winning and best-selling medical memoir, Better Off Bald, A Life in 147 Days. And my passion is to help cancer patients and caregivers have a better cancer journey and better outcomes.
Wow. I love it. We're going to talk a little bit more about you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest and see what he has going on. Mr. Gary Jones of Gary Jones Coaching. He's a transformational coach, martial arts master, and international speaker, and #1 best-selling author. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good morning. But of course, where I am here, it's good afternoon as well. So
where are you?
I'm just on the Welsh borders in the UK. It's for once we've had sunshine today. I don't think we've seen sunshine for about a month, so it's been very welcome to see some sunshine.
Well, good. I'm so glad that you're here from all the way across the world. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Well, the skills that I put into practice, I'm also a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming and master hypnotist. And I work with a lot of business people and top athletes, quite often in the martial art world, but not necessarily, to get them in a better place. And, particularly over the last few years, of course, people have had it really tough. And people that are really successful, where they do things at 100%, if it goes the other way and it's depression or anxiety, they do that at 100% as well. So lucky to be in a position to help people like that reverse it and get back into a good place.
I think you help people just by the tone of your voice, because I was calm just by hearing. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I was calm just listening to you, Gary. You got that authentic hypnotist voice. But I am going to come back to you. I'm going to go ahead and our next guest, Miss Kristen Ostrander. She's an author, serial entrepreneur, speaker, podcaster, and e-commerce expert. She founded mommyincome.com and hosts a weekly podcast, the Amazon Files, where she helps others start and grow businesses online. Good morning, Kristen. How are you?
Good morning. I am fabulous. Thank you so much for having me here.
You having fun yet?
For sure. You guys are all cracking me up, and I'm learning new things about new people already. So I'm excited.
We ain't even got started yet. Tell us
I
a little
know.
bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, that's a complicated question. I'm multi-passionate, serial entrepreneur. I'm always starting businesses and growing businesses. I'm a double business owner right now. Help people start and grow businesses on Amazon with e-commerce products. And I also have an e-commerce store myself. And I'm an author of Dream Big, Step Small. It tells my story and gives people practical tips on how they can overcome their adversities, their obstacles, their challenges, and still get everything they ever wanted. So,
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, maybe it's just me, but I'm gonna specifically talk to the moms out there. Have you ever multitasked at work where you're supposed to be doing your work and your job, and you got to go shopping and get something for the kids and do something? So you're gonna try to do a little bit at once or both at once. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna let y'all do what y'all doing, and I'm gonna go shopping because I need some new things. I don't know, Jim. Can you tell us a little bit about Danby Appliances? I don't know. Tell me about the company or something about Danby.
I didn't even know you're going to show that, and I don't know anything about Danby Appliances. And I'm kind of an outlier because I'm really just a business guy. I make appliances, bar fridges, freezers, that type of thing, and we make the air purifiers. I think that we'll have a good conversation with Hillary, because I basically do business to do good. And I brought in about 500 refugees to Canada. I'm in Canada, so I've done a lot on the refugee, and I'm resettling another 300 Afghan refugees, which are just starting to arrive. That's on the refugee front. But on the air purifier front, I don't love climate change. I'm passionate about it. I'm worried about it. And an air purifier, unfortunately, is a climate change product when you see the forest fires happening. And it's a COVID product when you see people with COVID. So that's the air purifier story.
I thought I surprised you with that one. With that one, Jim.
You did surprise me with that one. Exactly. That's a relatively new product because we're mostly fridges and freezers, wine coolers. But I'm glad you showed it. So I needed to see the features that it had.
Okay. Well, we needed to see that Danby believes in doing the right thing. So I'm gonna throw it back over to Hillary because Hillary, Jim said he's with you. He's trying to do good in the world.
Yeah, I think that the universal law of trying to the more that what you give, you get. It's the boomerang, it's the yin and the yang. It's just the universal truth. So when we figure out what our passion projects are, the things that we need the most in our lives, and we start to give that to the universe, that's what we get back. I think that's to some extent kind of what I think Adam was talking about too, where as we decide we're going to get connected, it's because we have decided we're going to give some of ourselves to, maybe it's our colleagues, our network, to the world, and we're going to get some of that back in return. For him, he helped grow four offices in Fort Lauderdale, but I think that's true for any of it. It really is the greatest gift to use our skills to be able to help other people. And I love being able to do it in a dynamic where I don't have an immigrant story, and I don't know if someone has, you necessarily have to have an immigrant story, or you have to have the pain point that your client base has in order to really be able to serve it. But it has been the coolest thing for me to be able to step into this different culture and see that yet again, the things that we think where we're all different, we're all the same. We all have the same desire. It's to be able to to give something good to our families. And for me, like, my absolute life pursuit is freedom. And that's what my clients want too. They came to this country because they wanted freedom. They're inhibited. So let's figure out a way to expand.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, love to hear your thoughts.
Well, part of the mission I have as a lawyer and an I call it recovering lawyer, is to help people find their mission in the world. I mean, one of the businesses I'm an owner of is called Leave Law Behind, where we help lawyers leave the law when they're truly miserable. And what I found in helping people start businesses, run businesses, leave the law, is when you really connect with your mission and purpose in the world and you're doing stuff you love, it stops being work. I know there's that old adage out there, you're not working a day in your life if you love what you do. But truly what I found in my own life is when I connect to what I'm really good at and I'm sharing my resources, sharing my knowledge, which is exactly what we're all doing here, how can you go wrong? And so I love that Hillary's connected with her passion and purpose, because lots of lawyers are in it for the money, unfortunately, and they're not in it to do good. And so there's this book called Conscious Capitalism that kind of taps into that idea of, doing things that are good for the greater good. And when you do something for the greater good, it's not just about you anymore. It's about everyone. And it's a collective instead of an individual. So I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see you over there nodding away, Jan. What are your thoughts?
Well, I so love this conversation because for me, joy is it's an acronym for just own you. And it's about understanding who you are as a unique individual, and the fact that each one of us has a unique voice in the choir, if you will, of humanity. And the more that we allow ourselves to tap into that, the more that we radiate out. That's why I'm backed by rainbows. But I have a signature process and concept called the happiness prism that I teach through and speak to, about the fact that the more that we tune into ourselves and connect with ourselves with the intention of knowing that when we light up in our joy and whatever that mission is for us today, that we radiate out rainbows, and that it's that ripple effect, and it's that connection that we're talking about here, and it's that freedom that we're talking about here. It's all encompassing here, and it's exciting to see how it's showing up in different facets in this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. We got to see how it is showing up. Andrea, I know you got some thoughts talking about life, joy, pursuit of happiness, I guess.
What came to me listening to everyone speak is how much we push back on happiness. And often it's because in order to embrace our happiness, in order to go there, we have to accept change in our lives. And I have found that the greatest fear for almost every person, if you get down to the root cause, it's some kind of fear of change. And I know for me, I was in a place for a very long time because I was grieving the loss of my sister, whom I raised as my own child. I lost her to cancer when she was 15, and I pretty much grieved all through my 30s. And because of that and where I wasn't able to embrace happiness. And I knew it was there, and I knew I could get there. But in order to do it, I was going to have to let a lot of things go. And that was difficult. And one of those things, which seems small, but it was huge for me at the time, was I spent my whole adult life in Los Angeles. I love Long Beach, by the way. And I left Los Angeles. That was the beginning of my change journey, if you will.
Was leaving got to come back. Long Beach is one of the best places in the world. We rock out here. Not that, everywhere else isn't wonderful, but am I the only one who relates to that story of change and releasing and having to let go that Andrea shares? Okay, well, I'm going to go over to Gary, see what Gary's thoughts are.
Well, I think that's like a quote Buddha really on the happiness thing. There's no path to happiness, that happiness is the path. I'm linking that back with freedom. I think, we've got the two legal aspects there of external events of what we believe freedom is. But then, of course, there's the internal, and one reflects the other. What we're experiencing internally generally gets mirrored in our external environment as well. If we're looking for trouble, we'll find it. So the freedom is the freedom of some emotional states, that you're not trapped in whatever those are. And it could be happiness. If I was happy 100% of the day, I'm sure I wouldn't have a good experience all the time, because a few people around me, I'm sure, would get pretty peed off with me. But so to have and to learn how to control my emotional states, I would say that's the expression of freedom for me, despite whatever is going on in the world and despite what people are trying to enforce upon you, inside or outside of your experience of life. You know,
Being
and the
able
legal
to,
aspects of that, great, you know, because we need the people like you to speak for people that feel they can't. You know, my job that I'm trying to do with people is to empower them that they can, but there are a lot of people that are a million miles away from that and need advocates and people of strength to support them so that they can even begin to think about
I just
taking
need
that
to
power
listen to
themselves.
Gary all day. That's all I need to do. My life will change just by simply listening. Andrea, you were going to say something.
Oh, just to echo what Gary said, you know, people gave me a really hard time when I left LA and they couldn't understand it. And I couldn't get them to realize that it had nothing to do with the destination, with where I was going. It really was about the journey. It was about the journey of letting go of LA and going someplace new and starting my life over. And so yeah, the path to happiness. Yeah.
Oh, wow. There's a path to happiness. I love it. I love it. Kristen, you're not shy, are you?
No, I'm just
Just-
patiently waiting for my turn.
Digging the earrings, I have to say, by the way.
Thank
Love
you.
the
Thank
earrings.
you. I love color and it brings me alive. It makes me have that passion that I so easily exude when it happens. Well, just reflecting on some of the things that everyone's saying about freedom and the possibilities and living in your passion. And I think that's part of my passion I see as women and moms and entrepreneurs. I think they're all waiting for someone to give them permission to express their freedom, express their purpose, find their purpose and what they want to do, aside from just their motherhood, because that's amazing and awesome. But we're also a whole person. And as a whole person, we have different passions. We have different things we want to explore and to have adventure in our lives. And I think that I've experienced a lot of women that hold themselves back because they don't feel like they have permission to be a whole person and to pursue something outside of them, which internally gives them that freedom that they're looking for, and also that happiness that we were kind of just all reflecting upon, and being able to find that even outside of your role as a mom. I think a lot of women have just been waiting. So anyone that's listening to that feels like they need permission, you've got permission. Go explore and find your own freedom in whatever it is that makes you feel passionate and happy.
I love that. So I'm gonna call Gary, and then I'm gonna call Kristen, and then I'm gonna call Jim, because y'all got some wonderful advice. We're talking about freedom, but Jim, but I think we're speaking about freedom in a more idealistic way. But you help people who are actually trying to get their freedom, correct?
Yeah. Well, my refugee work, you're basically, yes, you're helping people who are in horrific situations. The definition of a refugee is someone who's not in their home country, can't safely return to their home country. And often they're in countries where they're illegal, they're not allowed to work and stuff like that. And from the refugees, going back to the happiness thing, I believe I've learned the secret to happiness. And that is be grateful for what you have, not ungrateful for what you've lost. And we've all lost a lot of things. And not ungrateful for what other people have. So for me, gratitude and happiness are tied together.
The key to happiness. Does anyone else have a key to happiness? We've been lost. Jan's waving. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, just wanting to weigh in on this, that, you know, for me, and as I teach it and live it, joy isn't about being happy, joyful all the time. It's about really honoring the not joy moments as well. And the key to happiness for me and joy, as I've experienced over my decades, is appreciating that a prison walls do not a prison make. Like, we get to cultivate our own inner environment, no matter how crummy our circumstances are and super sucky. And I know I've had my own sucky circumstances, and everyone here and people listening, and especially, right, we can weigh in on all the different types of, as I call them, super sucky circumstances. It's how we choose to relate to it. And when we give ourselves grace and compassion and give space to experiencing the human experience as part of the rainbow that I teach, then it does give space to what I believe is our soul and truth, because joy is almost a level of consciousness to enlightenment, that joy organically emerges. That even in super sucky circumstances, and one of them, I had a cancer scare with my then 6-week-old son. So he's still alive with us, thankfully. But in that very, very dark moment, as a breastfeeding mom, I had to eat, and I had the opportunity to order off the children's menu of the children's hospital, and I ended up ordering Fruit Loops. And while it wasn't nourishing to my body, it was so nourishing to my soul. And I was able to find a little bit of joy in the moment, which is now known as the Fruit Loop moment. And that will be my book when I come back on. I'll have it on a cover.
We're going to hold you to that.
But absolutely, absolutely. Hold me to it. But for me, it's finding the little joys, even in the, most unpleasant moments. And those are the little spark of what I believe of the divine, of the universe. That's a little kiss on the cheek to say, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay, even if it sucks right now. But to appreciate, and yes, gratitude and appreciation in the process, weaving in and going, okay, I'm okay right now. I know Gary's big into mindfulness too. And for me, mindfulness is present moment awareness. And when we're in that present moment, we can say, okay, I'm okay right now. This isn't where I want to be, but it's a starting point. And then this is where I see joy as the vehicle and the destination. All right, what's going to be the most joyful next step, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because of course, dream big, step small, right? You have these big dreams that, when you're talking about those sucky circumstances, right? We experienced some major issues that we would call your sucky circumstances. We lost our home to foreclosure after a devastating injury that my husband had. He's in commercial construction, and he injured his shoulders and wasn't able to work. And we had all these different circumstances while we were building the business, end up losing our home. And a lot of people will ask, like, oh my gosh, that must have been awful. How did you get through that? How did you maintain a positive attitude during that? I said, well, there were definitely times that I sat down and had like the ugly cry, the mascara down your whole face, like whole box of tissues cry. I mean, it's not all the sunshines and rainbows, but walking through that situation with hope, because when you're in a sucky situation, you kind of know that there's always better out there, and you can appreciate the moments that you're in. I remember sitting in my empty house right before we left for the last time and seeing like the crayon marks on the walls and stuff from like behind the couch when the kids were being naughty. And it just also, I was crying, but then it also made me really laugh to be like, we lived here. We have a lot of memories here, and I can't wait for what's next, because since we're not dead, we still have a life to live. And even though it's not going to be in this house and this circumstances, we have each other and we can move forward. And so I appreciate that about what you said, because even in those moments, you can still find this overlying joy in your life.
That is so powerful. Hillary?
Yeah, I love seeing other people connect the dots in their past to positive trajectory for their future. So what science tells us, that if we can look in the past and we can connect the dots positively, then that impacts our joy, our happiness, all of the things that all of us are on this great pursuit of. A lot of my clients have had horrific things happen to them. Not all of them. Lots and lots of people immigrate to the United States and they haven't had horrific things. So I don't want to make too broad of a generalization, but the people who I really, really love to serve, because they have been in such a dark place, that means that when they get the freedom of having immigration papers, it's just all the better. They've been through really, really bad circumstances, but had they not been through that experience, they wouldn't be eligible for the green card, the work authorization, the social security number, and all of the doors that those things open. So it's like this really, I use a 4-letter word for the description of the circumstance. That really bad situation actually is the weirdest shaped gift, weirdest packaged gift in some of our lives, whether it's foreclosure. I was put in foster care because of child abuse as a kid, and that's how I interacted for the first time with an attorney, and then here today I am an attorney. So it's the way we connect the dots in the past really helps us view what our superpowers are. Why did I go through this really crappy situation? Because it gives us a really unique ability to help serve people even more. So if it is, I love that, moms who identify only as moms can feel really crippled by that. For a long time, when I was stationed overseas with my husband's job in the Air Force, I mean, I had 4 kids in under 5 years. I was pumping out babies, and I felt like all my value was tied to being a mom. And I mean, I'm really glad that I have the kids that I love my children. I don't recommend having that many kids that quickly for obvious reasons. I don't think that takes a lot of common sense. But if we, like Kristen's talking about, if you hadn't been through that experience, I don't think that you would have the street cred to be able to talk to people from your position of having not necessarily overcome it, because you don't ever overcome things like that. But you do get through it and you say, I'm on the other side of this, and man, things look really good. Come with me. And so we can have gratitude for that in the past.
Wow, that is so powerful. Oh, I like that. Kristen got her little heart.
Hey.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh my God.
We need
Stole the show.
Right?
I know. And I want my show back, because now we got to stop for a brief commercial break, and we'll be right back.
You need jordansrooter.com. Get free estimates, 24-hour service, special discounts for seniors and veterans. That's jordansrooter.com. Have a home repair or some remodeling you need done? No problem. We can handle all that too. Give us a call today at 800-300-0358. At Jordan's Rooter, we take pride in our work and always make sure to get the job done right the first time. That's jordansrooter.com. We want to be your Mr. Fix-It.
Are you a business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, artist, musician, celebrity, or influencer interested in more exposure for your business? Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today. We handle everything for you. We video interview you, we professionally produce your interview, and we distribute your interview. We do the work so you can focus on putting your best foot forward. If you have been looking for more ways to get your product or service in front of more people, this is the opportunity for you. Schedule your one-on-one interview with Sharifah Hardie today.
Yes, what a wonderful show. Everything we're sharing is bringing tears to my eyes. We got lawyers, doing experts. I just want to cry right now. This is so wonderful. But I'm not going to get too mushy. I'm going to go over to Adam. Adam, are we getting too mushy?
No, not at all. And I have a mushy side, even though I'm 6'9", 300 pounds. I've
You're
got
6'9"?
this mushy side. Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Wow.
Well, you see I'm in Paris right now, so I'm right up here with the Eiffel Tower.
What are your thoughts on the conversation so far?
Well, one of the things that came up was Gary's book behind him, and he says, A Life Without Fear. And I think in order to get to a place where you have joy, you have to let go of the fear. And so I'd love to know what Gary's got to say about some of the things in his book around fear and how to let go of it. I teach a little bit about it, but he's written a book. So he's the top expert here on our panel. And Gary?
Well, the first thing I would say about it is that a life totally without fear is a troubled place, because there are times when we need it. If I'm training a fighter, for instance, before we go into the fight, and I say, you're nervous, if they say no, then I'll use techniques to make them nervous because they need that adrenaline pumping through them. And if it's a military team going into a battlefield, they need to feel nervous, because otherwise they're a risk for everybody. Having said that, fear and guilt, I think, are the two emotions that destroy people's dreams and aspirations in life. And reducing fear, I use an acronym of MAGIC with a K on the end. So I talk about meditation, anchors, which is an NLP word, a neuro-linguistic programming word, about securing memorized events in you that are positive. And then gratitude, that's already been mentioned, of the key of that. Intentions. I don't like the word dreams. I like the word intentions. Dreams and resolutions are what we start on New Year's Eve and we finish them on the end of the day. And then Cardio is the C of magic, cardiovascular work. I'm a big fan of high intensity training because everybody says I haven't got enough time for health, but you can do 4 minutes if you do a Tabata, which is a form of high intensity. And the last one is kinesthetic as a K. K, the kinesthetic feeling. Everything really comes down to what we feel. So if we're not motivated in a dream, it's because the dream isn't big enough. Make it bigger. That's what motivates you, the size of the picture, how you feel about it inside. Is it your heart and your soul talking about it, or are you just analyzing the death out of it until you kill your own dream?
Wow.
So in terms of the fear, yeah, most of it is just about facing it. At the end of the day, and if we don't face up to it, Hillary talked a bit about trauma and events in life creating opportunities. We need those. The whole world is going through that at the moment. This is a wake up for the world. Yeah, the world is in trauma, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing because it will get us to a better place eventually.
Yeah, that's what's happening with this great resignation going on all over the world, where people are just willy-nilly quitting their jobs, even though the statistics show that people have enough savings to quit, but they have that reduction in fear enough to be able to say there's something better on the other side of this, and I'm not going to be treated like most companies will treat employees. It's all about the money. It's got to be more about life and teams. And the other problem that we've got right now is that everybody's afraid, and there's lots of fear. And so Gary, thank you for the magic that you just shared with us. And one of the things that I teach is that 99% of the stuff we are worried about, that we're stressed out about, the anxiety that we've got, never occurs. And so fear is kind of imagined. And I like to say stress is an inside job. Well, so is fear. And if we can start letting go of these imagined worries that we have, and it's difficult right now with COVID happening. There's people dying all over the world as well. And it's difficult, but fear is just an emotion that can be let go of too, where it's just a feeling in the body and we can burn it out. So there's lots of modalities to let go of fear. And I think that's part and parcel of us getting to joy, is letting go of that fear we have in us so that we can allow the joy to flow in.
Yeah, Mark Twain said that the worst things that ever happened to me never actually happened.
That's it.
Yes, absolutely. I want
to push
one of my favorite. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It was one of my favorite quotes, the fear of the things not actually happening. It's funny that you were saying that, Adam, and both reflecting on what Gary was saying as well. In here, talk about trusting the facts, not the feelings. I'm a very emotional person, and so when you guys are talking about fear, people are like, "Oh, how are you so fearless?" I'm like, "I'm not fearless. I'm scared to death. I just do it anyway because I know that failure is better than regret. That's like my mantra. And I would rather go through life like failing at things and trying new things and learning new things than regretting not ever taking that chance. The what ifs, the yeah buts. And I totally agree with you, Adam, when you're talking about the fact that like these fears are oftentimes just, they're not actually real. That's just something that the what if, the worst case scenario. And in my book, I'm always talking about trusting facts, not feelings, because I will chase down my fear of feelings and chase myself out of any decision I need to make or new thing I need to try because I feel something, and those feelings are real and valid, but so are the facts about the situation. And there's facts and statistics that can tell us what is the actual probability of this worst case scenario actually happening. So I'm always helping, and I'm full of a household of people who struggle with anxiety, and so we're always talking about this fear and what's the worst that could happen, what's the best that could happen, and somewhere in between is what actually happens. And so it's really a fun experience and a fun conversation that we have about fear, even though it's a scary thing. So I love this conversation about fear.
Can I push back for just a second? I gotta push back.
Yeah,
I don't think it for me, telling people or having people let go of their fear, I personally don't think that works. I'm going to kind of supplement what Kristen said. It's that, and I forget that this has been paraphrased and said by so many great people, but courage is not lack of fear. Courage is having the fear and moving forward anyway.
Yes.
So the fear may never, ever, ever go away, but just knowing that that's okay and to move forward. And then while I very much, and playing devil's advocate now, like this idea of fact over feelings, I'm a really intuitive person. And then when I have in my life just looked at the facts on the table, I didn't make the best decisions for me. When I really tuned in and listened to my intuition, all along, which had been just screaming, that's when I was able to make really positive changes in my life. I had wanted to leave Los Angeles 4 years before I actually did it. And the facts said, no, 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 this is a bad choice. This is not good. This doesn't make any sense. You have no place to go. But when I finally just tuned into the fact that I needed to leave, for me to be emotionally stable and to move forward, I had to leave. That had nothing to do with fact. That was just tuning into my feeling.
I think, Andrea, I love that. And I love that you said that, because I think that that was part of, I'm very intuitive as well. And as I've been learning that there's other personalities and other people that do more fact versus feeling. And I'm actually one of those that is a lot like you in the intuitive ways. As a coach and a mentor, I have had to learn all the different angles. So I guess I didn't want you to hear what I was not saying by only trusting the facts. But when you have all of that intuition, I've also had bad decisions based on feeling alone and not factoring in the facts. So I think it's a really good, well-rounded situation to have the facts and look at what is not just feeling, but also what is fact, and marrying them together. So I guess I missed that part of it, but I think the part in the beginning is really just understanding the facts, when to me, I had to do that second, because my feelings would be like, go this way, and I don't have an explanation, and I don't have a reason, and I don't have the worst case scenarios. I'm just gonna be like, this is a great idea, I'm going over here. And then the facts come in and be like, slow down a little bit, to where some people are the opposite, where they're all about fact, and the facts, like you said, moving from Los Angeles, were like, don't do it, bad idea, crazy. And so marrying the two together with the intuition and the fact finding will really bring a well-rounded decision to the table.
I think life is about balance. You got to have balance. I want to hear from. Let me hear from Jam real quick, Andrea. Please.
Well, I just want to weigh in on this as well, kind of bridging the gap between the two gals, because, for example, our cancer scare with my son, the fact was it might be cancer. He might die. And that was the fact. That was not feeling good. What I needed to tune into was my vision and hope and intention that we get out of here alive and he gets out of here alive. And so I'm also highly intuitive, but realizing that I think to understand what Kristen was trying to say is that, he's not dead at this moment. Like, he's alive right now. That is a fact too. And appreciating that, the fear can be like, well, what if he does? What if that is the outcome? And so that's where I really come from, the basis of mindful joy, because it's coming from present moment awareness of what is so right now, and then moving into, okay, what is the most joyful path forward with the best of what I got, even again, like I use the term super sucky circumstance, but tuning into, well, my vision and desire is for us to get out of here alive. What can I do to take care of myself so I'm in a better place of advocacy? I know that word popped up a lot here earlier, but I need to advocate for my son. I got to take care of myself to get myself into an emotional, spiritual, physical state of well-being to be able to stand in the vision of a better outcome. And so that's where, like, honoring the unseen as much as recognizing, well, here's what's so in the present moment.
Absolutely. Andrea, I cut you off. You had a thought.
I was just going to share something. I had to write it down to remember. And I think this will resonate with most people here. It's from yoga. It's Satvada Parinamavada. And what it means is your truth is real, but your truth can change. And I think that really aligns with what we're talking about here.
Yes, I love that. Jim?
So one thing I do is I sometimes, it sort of follows with that, your truth can change, is reframe it. So fear, a lot of fear comes around fear of failure. But I say fail often, fail fast, fail cheap. And the more failures we have, the more success we'll have. Not trying is failing, as opposed to, and by reframing it, then I think sometimes I can take a fear and make it into it's a good thing. And I actually attribute my success to having more failures. And it goes back to our previous conversation about adversity. How we handle adversity, how we get back on the horse. That's how we do it. It's not back on Gary's donkeys, but
I can't hear him.
Now
I was
you have
hoping
to
I
tell
could hear him.
people why we're talking about donkeys. You need to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
them.
Otherwise,
We heard the
painting
donkey
a picture
in
of
the
me.
background. I guess that's what happened. I want to hear from Hillary. Hillary, you're just sitting there so patiently and so
I
quiet.
know, I'm like chomping at the bit, literally. Me and the donkeys chomping at the bit. A couple of things. There's so much to touch on, but I think that the anecdote to fear is trust. And if we can trust ourselves, so as I can only speak, I've only ever been a woman in this life. So as a woman, I've been trained not to trust myself. I've been trained that I'm over emotional, that I make judgments based on emotion. And so a lot of the time I have to go look at data to decide, am I being too emotional? Because I am emotional. If you're not emotional, if you're not passionate, because that's also what this is, then perhaps you're in the wrong field and you may be numbing out with lots of other things that you ought not be numbing out with, because maybe you don't feel a lot of things because you are afraid that you are not supposed to feel all of those things. But if we trust ourselves and we trust that the universe has our back, then it makes bad experiences, going through foreclosure, getting put into removal proceedings, having a child go through a really intense medical situation. It helps us if we believe that the universe has our back, because we trust ourselves and we trust that the right thing is coming to us at the right time. All of that trust, it's like eating your Wheaties in the morning, and it, especially for me and those like me who have feminine energy, man, it really helps us appreciate all of the gifts that we do have, because we trust that we have been given those things for a very specific reason. Those reasons may not be known right now. Why do I have a hot temper? I don't know. But when I go to court, I get to channel that with my fear that I'm going to screw up. But I get to go to court with all of that rage in my belly on behalf of my client and go do a good job. So everything has its equal opposite. But we can use each of those things for I know breakfast cereals are on we're in the chat. The breakfast cereals are on the topic today. And just really circle back to, everyone's going through this great trauma right now. And if we can use what we're going through right now and collectively create a vision for why are we going through this? Maybe we're going through this as a collective, as an entire globe, because people were unhappy in positions that they had, because the American dream of owning a home and having a spouse and having 2.5 kids and 1.5 dogs, maybe that's not the vision, but that was what we were all working toward. Maybe that's not what we want anymore. And so maybe this time is for us to trust that this is going on for a reason. I don't like it. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but we're in it. How can we connect the dots to our current and our past 2 years, knowing that there's a way forward? Can we collectively agree on what it is so that we're moving forward together and we can stop all of the unnecessary, negativity that's flowing from the disconnect that COVID has created?
Absolutely. But we have to ask 6ix9ine if it's just a feminine, female energy about trusting ourselves. That's you, Adam.
Oh, yes. Well, let me expound a little bit more on what I've learned about fear and what I teach attorneys, because attorneys are so caught up in fear and anxiety. And man, over the past couple of years, they've just really been hit hard. Fear to me has always been a choice. And, you may have some people dissent about that. But what I've come to know from my teachings and what I've learned from lots of teachers is that there's two emotions. There's fear and love, and that's it. And ultimately, what I have used in my own life is what's called choice point. And it comes from my certification as a trainer in heart math. And ultimately, everybody's been talking about connecting with that intuitive space. And for me, that intuitive space comes from my heart. So when I connect my heart and my mind together, there's tremendous power. So you're looking at the mind, which is all about facts, and then the heart, which is all about feeling. And so coherence is what heart math calls it. And I've found tremendous impact in my own life when I've stepped back. And if you Google quick coherence method, it's free on the internet with heart math. It's actually implementing the power of the heart and the mind to let go of fear and realize that in any moment We have a choice to what we feel and what we think. And it's usually our thoughts which bring us the fear. And if we can stop those thoughts in an instant and, like Jan said, get present, the present moment awareness, which I've studied so deeply and so profound, the teachings of it all over the place. But if we can just stop and get present, and we can connect the heart, which has 40,000 neural cells, to the brain, and we can get more coherent, we can use the data and our feelings and our emotional side to then make the best decision we can. And
Wow.
somebody was saying how great of a speaker Hillary is. Well, she's a natural born lawyer, so this is why
Yes,
she's doing what
you
she's
can
doing.
definitely tell. Wow, this has been an incredible show, incredible conversation. But this is the part of the show where I give each of my guests a couple of seconds to let the audience know what they want them to take away from their appearance here today. So we're going to start with you, Miss Jan.
Oh my gosh. I'm so humbled right now. I just want to say I'm just blown away by the beautiful dynamics of all of you wonderful folks, all the work that you're doing in this world. And it's just been such an honor to have this conversation with you all. My takeaway that I really want to offer everyone is, of course, look for your Fruit Loop moment and to appreciate the fact that they're everywhere. You just have to look. And that, just as Hillary said, we are all backed by the divine if we're willing to listen, if we're willing to look, if we're willing to stop, take a breath, and realize just what a blessing it is to be here in this life. And but what I would love to say, if anyone listening would like to experience, I have a video series called Waking Up to Your True Joy in 3 Simple Steps. If you go to janhoth.com, or you can reach me on any of the social media networks of Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, I'd be happy to send you a link to it. But I have a video series to help you tune into more of you and your true joy, because you have it. We all have it in us. We just sometimes need a little extra love and nudge and support to access it, because it really is a ancient, sacred superpower.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Andrea, what do you have for the people?
Well, I first just want to thank Sean Council in the comments. Thank you so much for she commented on every single person talking.
I know.
Super interactive. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. I guess what I would say is that even at your lowest moment, just wait. Just give it another minute or another hour or another day, because whatever's going on right now, it's not going to stay that way, whether it gets worse for a period of time or better. But whatever it is that's got you so weighed down, just trust that, that's a sort of a temporary place to be. And again, just reiterating that the courage is not lack of fear. It's having that fear. We all have fears. We're all scared. But just move forward anyway.
Thank you, Andrea. Kristen, what do you have for the people?
Yes, I'm just, amening what Andrea was just saying too, as like moving forward in that fear, because I do believe it's never going to go away. We're always going to have fear, especially if we're starting something new or walking into something unknown. That is our natural thing, to fear of the unknown, and just walking through it anyway, knowing that whether it's good or bad, like Andrea was just saying, it is still going to, it's going to change. It's going to be temporary, whether it's the fear or you walk into it with more confidence the next time because you're not as fearful as the one before. So I love that. I've loved this conversation. My main takeaway with all of this is, first of all, meeting all these amazing people and having this real live discussion from all different perspectives has just been eye-opening. So thank you all for that. But just the main takeaway really is to pursue that passion despite the fear, to feel it and walk through it anyway, because there can be freedom on the other side of walking through that, even though you feel scared.
I love it. Thank you, Kristen. Hillary, what do you have for the people?
Yeah, thank you so much. I love that you've attracted all these people who are like-minded and believe and willing to be vulnerable, that, you see people in positions like this and you scroll through it on Facebook or whatever, and you feel like those are those are those people, but they're not the hot mess that I am. And I think that it's so important that we've all kind of shared that life has been hard, and we are smiling through it today, but you never know what's going on even 20 minutes before and 45 minutes after, because you just start to you start to get stronger in the gym. And the more that you push through it, the stronger you get. I want to share a quick picture. This was me last year. I had brown hair then, but I was in the hospital and I had been hospitalized. It was, of course, part of the height of the pandemic. And I had just gone in because I had kidney stones, and all these medical interventions led to me being like borderline put in an ICU, and like all sorts of things were going wrong. And it was a really scary time. And it actually is one of the things I am so grateful for, because it helped force me to stop being so the lead actress in every single part of my business. And I got to really elevate other leaders within my business, which helped increase the impact of people that we were able to serve, because it wasn't just the Hillary show. And so whether you're in the thick of things in the hospital, or whatever it is that you're in, time is such a fickle thing, because 24 hours from now, you don't know if you'll be on the other side of it. And when we have such little vision as a whole, when we have so many people feeling like they're really lost, and they don't know what their purpose, or why am I here? What am I working so hard for? Why am I going to this job every day? If you're in a place like that, if you make the decision a year from now, you can be in a position to say, I'm so glad I was so desperate, because it put me on the search of seeking. And yes. I hope that you find what you're looking for.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Hillary. Hearts to Hillary. Adam, what do you have for the people?
I think the takeaway is listen to your heart, feel the fear, and do it anyways if you feel that's what you should do. I mean, I had a debilitating illness that came from too much stress as a lawyer, and it was adrenal exhaustion that caused me all kinds of challenges, sick a couple times a year, migraine, headaches, brought me to my knees. My thyroid got messed up and brought me to my knees, because ultimately I had arrhythmias happening. And the doctors said, well, there's nothing wrong with your heart. It's just weird. And why it brought me to my knees is because I was afraid of dying. And when your heart's not beating right and you feel like it's going to stop, it makes you take a look at crisis mode. And ultimately change happens for most people in a crisis mode. And it doesn't have to be that way. It took me to a crisis mode to shift and look at, well, why am I having so much stress? How do I redo my businesses so that I can be more of a leader instead of a worker, and really start to focus in on what do I do best every day? And that really brought me to a place where I said, I can teach people how to do this. And so for me, moving from Florida, leaving my law practice and going to North Carolina, I had to feel that fear and do it anyways. And so I think that's the key here. And last but not least, my intuition brought me to January 5th with all of you. My God, what a bunch of powerful people here. Holy crap. I'm so thankful to be part of this. And thank you, Sharifah, for bringing us all together on this amazing day.
You are so welcome. Thank you for being here. Gary, what do you have?
I'm going to quickly throw in a few things. The first is something I live my principles by, and is in my book, which is accept nothing, believe nothing, check everything. Or whether that's feelings or facts. Yeah, it sounds rather cynical, but the most important thing of that ABC is the check everything. That's feel it, live it, experience it. And then you're truly knowledgeable about whether this is a right move for you or not. The second one is in the book. You'll have a chance to find out why I swam away from my kids to let them drown. And the spoiler is it didn't end up all that bad. The last one I want to share is I stole the word really from a program I was watching, but I'd like to share it with the world, is that let's stop creating millionaires and focus more on creating smillionaires. Just sharing smiles. How are we going to change the world? More smiles, more smillionaires.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Gary. Oh, that's beautiful. Jim, what do you think of the show, Jim?
This is a great show. This is probably your best show, Sharifah, that I've been on. And
Oh,
the
thank
one
you.
theme I'm hearing come from everybody, since I know we have 1 minute to wrap, the most important 10 minutes of your day will be the time you meditate. And that's all it takes. And I'm hearing from everybody to be present. So hoping everyone can stay present for 2022 and beyond. And thanks for having me again, Sharifah. I'm assuming one of these times you're not going to send me a link.
I love having you on the show. You are amazing. You are one of the most amazing people I've ever met. I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I want to definitely thank Sean Council. I want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the show live. I appreciate your support, but please support our guests. Pick up a copy of their book, visit their websites, follow them on social media, reach out to them. And when you do, please let them know Sharifah Hardie says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.